Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel, Say What's Real TV. This review is for Tyler Perry's Sistas, Season 6, Episode 5, Better Safe Than Sorry. So we pick up the episode exactly where we left off from last week. Karen is telling the girls that when her doctor came in to check on her from, the fire, I guess, being rushed to the hospital for the fire, that she also let her know who the father of her child was. So Danny was like, well, how was your doctor able to tell you that? Karen says because of the prenatal test that she told them about in Billy Jake's just hours before, which was supposed to be scheduled for the next day. And Danny says, well, did you have Zach's DNA? She said, no, but I had Aaron's. So Karen says she now has this information and Andy wants to know, girl, are you going to spill the tea or what? So Karen says out of respect for the father, she's going to wait to tell them first before she tells the girls. So Danny, she starts going off like, girl, you need to tell us something. Like, why would you even bring it up? Like, you're not going to keep playing with my emotions. You need to spill the tea and tell me something today. Andy and Sabrina over there trying to tell Danny, like, look, let's just respect her wishes. Like, we can't force her to tell us anything. Danny didn't give a damn. Danny going on and on like, girl, you need to say something. And Danny realizes that, well, not realizes, but she tells Andy, like, you must know something. Like, she already think that they're so close and always keeping secrets. So she thinks that Andy knows something, and Andy high as hell over there like, girl, I don't know nothing. And Sabrina high as hell talking about who, me? And she's like, girl, I'm not talking to you. So she ends up saying like, look, I'm getting ready to go. I'm leaving. Since you don't want to tell your friends nothing, like, I'm getting ready to go. So she tells Sabrina to take her home and drive her home because she too high. Sabrina like, girl, I've been smoking the same thing you smoking, like I'm just as high as you. Danny like, girl, you been playing with that stuff. I've been pulling. So as Sabrina and Danny leaves, Danny is yelling at Andy like, I know you know who the daddy is. I already know she told you. And they're going back and forth like, no, I don't. Yes, you do. No, I don't. But anyway, so they leave. And then Karen and Andy have this little moment where, Andy's asking her, are you all right? Are you sure? She just want to look at her, let her know she loves her because she's like, girl, I thought you were dead. Like, it was really rough for her going through that. And Karen, reassures her that she is okay. So Karen brings up the fact that she just needs to know how she's going to rebuild this salon. And Andy basically let her know, like, girl, look, I got you. If you need to borrow whatever, I got you. Karen is like, well, I'm going to need that. So they both express how much they love each other and tell them to call each other later on. And Karen, she ends up leaving. Now, one thing I can say about Andy, she will provide financial support to her friends. We know that she loaned Karen some money in the first place to get this shop. I don't know if Karen was paying her back or owed her any money for the shop, or was it a gift? I can't remember, but I thought it was like a loan. She didn't ask for any money back. She just sat there and offered to help her rebuild without question. We do also know that she gave up money for Sabrina to get out of jail. $1.5 million to be exact. It wasn't like it was $100 to $200. This girl providing thousands plus dollars to help her friends out. So I give that to Andy. So I get this was supposed to be a little moment between Andy and Karen, but I would have been a little petty if I was Andy when Karen brought up the salon and said, girl, I know you heard Aaron say that he was going to help you fix the salon. And I was standing right there when Zach was squeezing you tight and he promised you he was going to get it done. So you don't have anything to worry about. So, but I guess she didn't want to bring that up at this particular point in time. But, she did offer her services. And I mean, as a friend, that was a good thing. But hell, me, I would have mentioned it like, girl, don't be stressing over that. The men got you, girl. They got you. So Andy then returns one of Gary's missed phone calls. So, of course, all he wants to know is, can he come over to her house? As usual. But side note, what I want to know is, why is it we have never seen where Gary lives? We've never seen where Aaron lives. And they are dating these women that they always pop up to their house And I feel like if you want to win them over so bad, how come Gary or Aaron never says, well, I cooked dinner, come on over? Why the women never say, well, let me come to your house sometimes? I thought the rule of thumb was if you are not able to go where the person lives, maybe they got somebody living there or something. Why haven't you guys gone to these men's houses before or where they reside? I don't get that. We have literally seen the outside of Hayden's house. We seen the inside of Hayden's house when Fatima went over there and bust up everything. Mind you, Gary just happened to be over there. And we've also seen his bedroom with him and Tamara all up and through the bedroom. Why do we know where Hayden lives, but we don't know where Aaron and Gary live? So anyway, Andy tells Gary that she's been drinking and smoking, and whatever it was that Danny gave her, she was up there. And Gary said, well, we can be up there together. And she told him, look, I'm warning you right now. I might say some things. I might be a little mean. Gary didn't give a damn. And, he was on his way over there. So we see Sabrina taking Danny home. And she's sitting over there in the passenger seat high as a kite, thinking she's the one driving. And Sabrina had to tell her, no, I'm driving. You over there high as hell. So she over there mumbling and blurting out stuff, telling Sabrina, don't give him your money. And I'm like, well, how did we get to you saying that ahead of time, Danny? Like, did you just blurt that out by accident? So they go through all of that, and she's trying to make like she's a psychic now, talking about I can see into your future, and your future looks bright. So she says that I think Andy knows the truth about the baby daddy. And Sabrina's like, well, who do you think the dad is? And Danny says she thinks that is Aaron because a preacher's sperm has something to prove. And Sabrina says she thinks it's Zach's because Karen always wanted a family with him. Sabrina also noted that Karen seemed a little too calm and not weirded out by the news. So they were like, oh, they'll find out soon enough. And Danny was like, probably not, because Karen likes to drag shit out. And I'm like, yes, this will be dragged out way on to season 7. So I'm not sure why it's still the whole who is the baby daddy scenario. I don't get it. Like, Karen posed a question, and it is, does it really matter who the father is? For me, I don't give a damn who the baby daddy is. Aaron already stated that he's going to help her take care of that child no matter what, whether it's his or not. Zach and Fatima over there preparing for the child, trying to set up support payment plans, preparing for, whether it's his child or not. I mean, you have to wait for the child to be born, I would think, in order to get real deep into whether it really would matter or not, because people's emotions might change. A lot can change once the baby actually gets here. But you barely being 2 months pregnant, girl, like, I don't give a damn. And just like Danny told her earlier, if you just would have kept your knees together, we wouldn't even be going through all of this. So Sabrina changes the subject and brings up her whole job situation. And Danny cuts her off like, look, girl, I don't have no money. I can't help you out, but I can give you some weed for you to sell that. She like, I don't have it. If I had it, I can help you out. So Sabrina say, girl, I'm good. I don't need your money. I know you don't have it. And she tells her, she has her savings, 401k, and a few retirement investments. And she got like $190,000. And Danny woke up then. She like, girl, you been doing that good at the bank? And she was like, yep. She was like, like maybe you did rob that bank. So then Danny asked Sabrina, why would you cash your money in? And she tells her all about Bio coming to see her and promising that he can double her money and all this. Danny said, absolutely not. No, do not get this man your money, because it sounds like one of those African prince schemes. So Sabrina tells her that she's starting to sound like she's prejudiced. Danny like, look, I'm just saying, don't do it. So Sabrina starts making excuses, saying that, Bio has way more money than the both of them. And Danny was like, yeah, from scheming and scamming. Basically, Sabrina, girl, keep your money, okay? So then we see Pam calling Karen, and she says she's calling to check up on her, but I think low-key Pam was really trying to make sure she still had her job. So she just had to reiterate to Karen that, look, that fire was not caused by the curlers. Karen was like, it doesn't matter, you still left them on. So Pam wanted to make sure she was not fired. So they started talking about the rebuilding of the salon, And Karen is saying she doesn't have any money. And of course, she didn't have the insurance. So Pam had to ask her, like, well, why didn't you have insurance? So she went into the whole spiel about when the guy took the clients and she had to let it lapse to cover other expenses. Pam was like, well, what happened to the money that Zach gave you? And she didn't want to talk about it. Of course, she cut Pam off real quick. Like, Pam, I don't have time for this. I had a long day. Now she don't want to talk, which I found quite interesting. And, she was like, well, go ahead and call Zach now. He did offer to help you. And she was like, yeah, I know. She was like, don't wait till tomorrow. Call right now while Fatima is not home. I'm like, Pam, why you being so messy, girl? Now, Karen, inquiring minds do want to know, what did you do with the check that Zach gave you? Are you heading down to the casino, playing blackjack, putting it all in the slots? I don't guess you on drugs or nothing, girl. We know you don't be shopping like that. So what exactly are you doing with your money? So Maurice comes home, and when he gets in there, Calvin is sitting in there on the sofa. So he's like, well, where all this came from? What's going on? What is this? Calvin said he went and got his old furniture out of storage. And basically, Maurice doesn't like it because it's like real colorful and flashy. And I guess they're trying to make it a point to show that Maurice, being the openly gay one, you would think that he would like all the different colors and all of like the fluorescent colors and all of that. And Calvin's supposed to be like this straight guy, quote unquote. And he's the one that likes all the colorful furniture like this. But he told Maurice, look, it doesn't matter whether you like it or not. You're going to have to deal with it. This is all we got. And basically, you need to be grateful. So they end up talking about Q again, going back and forth about leave him alone. No, I'm not. Leave him alone. I'm getting the truth, all of that. And then they end up talking about the rent. And Calvin said he would pay the rent. And Maurice over there trying to get his little toiletries paid. And Calvin said, no, sir. I'm going to feed you and pay the rent, and that's it. And then now Maurice begging for steak and caviar. And Calvin told him he better get his butt in there and eat some ham and Swiss cheese. And told him, look, at least you could say thank you. Maurice is so ungrateful. It's ridiculous. So we go over there to Zach's house, and someone's knocking on this door. So he's trying to hurry up and get to the door. And he's like, oh, you left me, now you got an attitude. So he opens the door and walks off without even looking to see who it was, because he thought it was Fatima talking about what you left your key. I'm like, I know you don't have no attitude, Zach, whether she left her key or not. Talking about she left you. Okay, Ann, you lucky that's all she did. So he then realizes that it's Preston and asks him what is he doing there and that he could have called first. Preston says he was on his way to Danny's house, so he just stopped by to check on him, because he noticed how upset he was. He brings up Fatima and how Fatima was looking and her facial expressions. And Zach didn't want to hear all of that because he's like, it was dead bodies in the building and all y'all could do is worry about Fatima and how she was looking. Like, why are y'all looking at Fatima? So Zach actually fixes his mouth to say Fatima just going to have to deal with it and get over it. And that he got a lot going on and he don't have time for that. I said, oh, really? So then he tries to deflect with Preston and tell him, don't you have Danny problems? Why don't you go over there and deal with that? Like, I don't have no advice for you. Preston like, oh, no, that's the last thing I came over here for was to get some advice from you. Cause now Zach like, well, what's wrong with my advice? He like, you caused too many problems the last time. So the two of them have some little banter and Zach told him, stop dressing like me. And he said, hey, that's like the sincerest form of flattery, right? So, they go back and forth about next time, make sure you call this and that and the other. So Preston, he ends up leaving. So Zach then pulls his phone out to call Fatima. And she sends his behind straight to voicemail, as she should. So he leaves her a message like, where you at? I've been trying to call you. I'm at home. Hit me back up. So he hangs the phone up talking about playing games. Like, how do you figure she's playing games? Why are you even looking for her anyway? Are you ready for her to come home to cook you something to eat? Is that why you're looking for her? Because you clearly was not worried about where she was at before. So I guess you need to deal with her not answering her phone. So we go over there to Andy where she's talking to Gary. And they talk about the whole Karen salon thing and how crazy it was, how she thought she had lost Karen. And now she realizes that we spend too much time in relationships and worrying about this and that and the other. And she's come to terms with the fact that her and Gary cannot be in a relationship. So she's letting him know that all they are going to be basically is sex partners, which, girl, that's all you've been in the first place. So she's telling him he's great in bed. She loves the way he makes her feel and all of that, and child. And she goes on to tell him about that he's clever, he's smart, he's a beautiful black man, but he comes with a lot of baggage, and that, he can be an asshole sometimes, and told him that he's really not her type. She likes men that are 6'5". So she goes to pick her phone up and brings up her ex from college and attempts to try to look him up on Facebook. And Gary takes her phone like, are you being serious right now? And he chalks all of this up to her really just being high and drunk. And she was like, yeah, maybe, but she wants to tell her truth and this and that. So he says, go ahead, tell your truth. She sits there and tells him that Peter is actually bigger than Gary's, but Gary has more rhythm and knows how to work it. He knows what he's doing. And I'm like, this is some BS. So she's all up on him like, since you know how to do it and you know what to do, give me what I want. If you can't do that, then get out. And, Gary's sitting up there like, I'm not feeling this tonight. She was like, well, you not feeling it, then get out. I'm like, girl, how you going to sit there and tell this man all of this and that and then try to hunch him? So then Gary gets up to leave and she's like, oh, where you going? Where you going? Trying to change her tune a little bit. So he keeps walking, talking about 6'5", and she like, get out. I'm like, girl, he already at the elevator. Now, I don't know if this scene was really for Andy's benefit or was it for Gary's, because Andy, I feel like, is just talking out the side of her neck because of the whole drinking and smoking crap. So I need for her to be sober and tell Gary the same thing she told him, but like in a mature type of way, like, this is what's going on with us. I don't want a relationship, this and that and the other. I want her to say all of that sober. And to me, it would seem like it was more focused on Gary and how he was acting, because we know Gary from season 1 and season 2. Gary was extremely, extremely jealous and angry at the least little thing that would happen with Andy. And for Andy to talk about somebody else's private part and how much bigger it was, and, oh, but you know how to work it. And I feel like they were trying to get the audience to see a different side of Gary and that he had changed his ways or something. If this was season 1, season 2 Gary, Andy would have been laid out on that sofa. Now, every week now we seeing Gary coming through for somebody. Okay, last week he came through with the whole mayor thing. And now you want to try that like you're not angry and jealous this week and you're able to walk away. And I think they're just trying to set us up with that whole mayor crap because of his little political connection for season 7. But look, we're still not going when it comes to Gary. We're not going. So no need to try to soften up his character, make it seem like he done been to anger management and all of that, because it still remains the same. He has to go. So we go over there to Karen's house and she gets a knock on the door. So she goes to the door and, of course, opens it without saying anything. And it's Aaron. And he gives her the biggest hug ever. I guess Aaron said, I couldn't get to you over at the salon because, Zach stepped in his damn way. So he's telling her that he is so glad that she's okay. He's been worried about her. And she's looking at him like, I'm okay, I'm good. So Aaron, he says that he wants to finish talking about the whole Jennifer situation because it has been on his mind all day. And Karen is like, well, are you sure this is the right time to talk about this? So Aaron, knowing that he done messed up, says that, he feels real bad about it and he wanted to let her know that it's not going to happen again. Karen told him she knows it's not going to happen again. And he looking like, what you mean? She said, because I don't have a salon anymore. He said, well, Karen, we can rebuild. And she like, we? Basically saying there is no we. So Aaron tells her that, he can help her rebuild the salon. And she's like, I got it. I figured it out. He like, oh, you got the money? So she has this little smug look on her face like, yep, I sure do. And I'm like, Karen, I know Zach promised you the money, but let's not count your chickens before they hatch. A lot of things can happen between now and it actually getting done. So pipe it on down, pipe it on down. So now Aaron wants to know, what can he do? Can he help organize something? Karen basically told him, I don't want you to do anything for me. So Karen went into the whole thing like, look, you try to act like you was this perfect guy the whole time you've been seeing somebody else on the side. And Aaron was like, Karen, you didn't even want me. She said, look, I said I didn't know. I'm like, Karen, that right there, dealing with a man for real, is going to date other people. But she says, well, you went behind my back dating this person, but you didn't even come and say anything about it. He says he really wasn't dating her like that. He tried, he saw her a few times, tried to break it off, and then Jennifer started acting crazy. Now, every time he says that, Karen is like crazy, like, what you won't do is make me crazy. So Aaron, he's trying to apologize, asking Karen, can they just start over? And Karen basically is like, no, I don't want to do this. You come over here unannounced. I let you in, but really, I'm done. I don't want to do this. So Aaron, he tries to change the subject, talking about, I'm just glad you're okay. I was just really scared when I thought you were in the fire. And Karen cut him off like, thank you. Thanks for coming. Like, I really need to get some rest. I got to get up early in the morning to try to figure out who the second body that's died in my salon is, which was low-key a shot at him because of his ex-wife, Fawn, being the first one. So Aaron then says that the person's name was James Timms, that he was homeless and mentally ill and lived behind the salon. And Karen looked up and was like, well, how do you know that? So this is just how slick and manipulating Aaron is, because she's already asked him to leave. So then he sits back and gets real comfortable, like, he chilling like a villain. I'm like, no, sir. So he says that Gary told him, and Karen was like, Gary? So he tells her that Gary made a phone call to the mayor, there's the mayor again, and got all that information about James Timms. And I'm like, hold up. So you mean to tell me just within hours, just by calling the mayor, we can get the identification of somebody burnt up in the fire just like that and know that he is mentally ill? So Karen asks, did the guy have any family? And Aaron says that he thinks that they're looking for the family now. I find it odd that with a lot of stuff that goes on in this series, that a lot of things get swept under the rug and we never find out a lot of information. But to me, it seems very intentional for them to tell us that the homeless guy's name was James Timms and that he was mentally ill. And like, why do we need to know all of that? Like, it seemed like maybe later on it's a storyline developing. Now that they're looking for the family member, is his family going to be one of the castmates? Is that what we're doing? Or is just that Karen or whoever is going to pay respects to the family? Like, it has to be more to it that we had to get all of that information about this guy. Like, any other time we wouldn't get anything. It'd have been like, oh, it was just some homeless guy in the back and they keep it pushing. Do you guys think that the writers were just trying to cover their tracks so that we, the audience, wouldn't ask a whole lot of questions? Or do you think this is a storyline waiting to happen? So Aaron, he's still trying to have a conversation like he forgot that Karen asked him to leave. So he's trying to talk about Pam and how he had to apologize for coming down on her pretty hard. And Karen was like, why? She still left the curlers on. So he's still like, yeah, but, he felt bad. So she was like, well, okay then, I still got to get to bed. So he's stalling and taking his little po time, and he tells her, I still love you, right? She looked at him with a straight face like, thank you. He's like, ouch. So now Aaron, he got his little feelings hurt, so he told her good night, and Karen told him, drive safe, Aaron, and he looking all sad like a little puppy dog walking out the door. The real reason Karen wanted Aaron out so bad was so she can make this phone call to Zach. So she calls him, so they get to talking, and Zach is like, I'm glad you called me. I needed to hear your voice. Like, it was a lot going on earlier. It was too many people. And I'm like, Zach, how could you tell that it was too many people? Like, it seemed like you thought that you were the only one in the world alone with Karen. So they get to talking, going back down memory lane. and saying how well they know each other, a little too well sometimes, and went to talking about the salon. But first, Karen did ask about Fatima, but Zach said, don't do that. I don't want to talk about that. I want to talk about you. So when she brought up the salon, she says that she saw the look on his face and how much he loved her showed on his face. He said, oh, that was obvious. And she tried to throw it out there that it was obvious to everybody out there. Zach said, well, I wasn't worried about everybody out there. I was just worried about you. So that was another little dig at Fatima. Basically, she need to deal with it and get over it type thing. But just make sure you keep that same energy, Zachary Taylor, okay? And in that moment, I felt like, why is it that Zach has yet to ask her about the child? And even though I know they're trying to make the whole moment about Zach and Karen, which I get that is showing that he's supposed to really be still in love with her, I still get all of that. But at the same time, in loving her still, I still wanted him to acknowledge the fact that she is pregnant and it might be his child. So the two of them, they're all giddy and acting like they're back in elementary school where they got the little letter like, check yes or no. Do you like me? P.S. Call me. That's how they're acting. So Zach says, oh, it's getting me to thinking. And I'm like, thinking about what, Zach? What you been thinking about? You want to go back? Go ahead, sir. So she was like, oh, I thought you hated me. He says, Karen, no, I don't hate you. I love you, Karen. And of course, as he's saying that, Fatima's walking up the steps. And of course, she catches the tail end of that. And he sees her and he doesn't get off the phone with Karen, but his demeanor changes. So now, he's stumbling and fumbling, shaking like a little leaf, but he doesn't hang up. And Karen is steady talking, asking all these questions. Wait, did you mean what you said about the offer? He's like, yeah, of course, I'll talk to you later. I gotta go. And, I guess she picks up on it or whatever. She could tell he's rushing her kind of off the phone. So she was like, oh, she must be there staring you down your throat. Like, oh, now she starts being petty. Like, I love you. Like, you're not going to say it back. And he like, yeah. Brushing her off, like still not saying it, but still not hanging the goddamn phone up, And me and Fatima, we started looking at him like, how long you going to talk? They on the phone for a good damn near 20 more minutes. I'm like, you gonna hang up or not? So he finally hangs up the phone with her and says, hey, baby. I said, hey, baby. So Fatima, she just says, hey. He said, oh, you out kind of late. And was. It's not like you gave a damn. So she said, yeah, I was. So he said, you okay? Everything good? She like, I'm fine. He has the audacity to try to go and hug Fatima. Put your nasty, dirty arms, sweaty ass arms around Fatima. You ain't took no bath after you been all up in the sun all day hooping and hollering over Karen and wrapping your arms around Karen. Now you want to come hug all up on Fatima. No, sir. She pushed his ass off him and kept it pushing past him. He's like, stumbling. You want me to go run your bath water? Nope. Slammed the door on him. And the episode ended there with him standing there talking about, damn. Zach, go sit your ass down somewhere, okay? Ooh, child, that Zachary Taylor is something else. You hear me? Tuh. Anyway, so what did you guys think of this week's episode? Do you think that Zach is considering going back to Karen? Do you think that Fatima will finally wake up and realize she needs to take a break from this relationship? Time will tell. Drop down below and let me know your thoughts and comments. As always, you guys, thanks for watching, thanks for listening, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.